Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. So I know that the past number of videos have been a lot of concrete related videos as well as destruction videos. Hey, are you waving hi? Are you saying hi? But that is because that is pretty much what I have going on right now at my house. This, aside from not yet, but attempting to build our own house here shortly. This is a pretty unique process that not a whole lot of people really get to experience themselves. So yeah, a lot of the past videos, the most recent videos, have been concrete and work related. I promise I have more firearms videos. Just trying to work my way through and play catch up. But the reason I am doing this right now is because this video that you're about to see is the process of adding on that next section of retaining wall. However, started editing this video only to find out that I must have lost or deleted the intro for this video. So Eleanor and I decided to pop out and refilm it real quick. So in this video, you are going to see the process of extending that retaining wall. We plan on doing probably another 20 feet or so just to help block the water coming down from the hill and everything. You're going to see everything that went into that one, pouring the footer for it, rebarring, forming, pouring, finishing, everything. So, okay, tell them bye. Say enjoy. Can you blow him a kiss? There you go, guys. Enjoy. Okay, so a short, sweet summary. We got all the concrete ripped out back to here. Now, the reason I'm only going to there for right now is because I would like to get this next section poured. I need to dig out a trench for my footer so that I can pour a wall, and then we'll get this whole area, driveway area, poured up to the backside of my steps. I'm gonna leave this section gravel and then leave this concrete here. That way, whenever I call and order lumber for my garage in the next week or so, they can deliver it and drop it right there. And if that concrete gets beat up, perfectly fine. It's obviously coming out. I don't want to spend the money, time, and effort to re-pour all this, make it nice, and either have the lumber dropped all the way up there and then I got to carry it, or have them back up here, drop it here, and potentially scratch it. So that's the plan. We're gonna go ahead and get this area dug out now. Okay, so our ditch for our footer is dug. I used our 2-foot bucket on the 305. It got a little bit wonky trying to dig in through here, so I ended up just taking the tracks about halfway up this hillside, flattening myself off with the blade. I didn't have the camera turned on for that, so I apologize. That way I was able to get a nice plumb dig line. I was able to get this straightened out. The way I was positioned before, it kept hooking, so I did that, got it straightened back out, and yeah, we're all good now. So if I go off of this elevation here, continuing the footer, you guys just saw me digging and clearing all the dirt out from underneath and around that. That way when we pour our new footer, the concrete can bind to that concrete, and it's not going to allow any water to go through. So this calls for about a yard of concrete. I'm gonna make some phone calls and see if I can get that coming here now. If it's possible, I'm gonna get my laser set up and get this going. Okay, so fast forward a week, and yeah, it took a week to get to this point. I had a small job that I was doing not too far from here last Saturday. I think I dug this on maybe Thursday or Friday, can't remember, but either way, small job I did that following Saturday. I had a little bit of concrete left over, so we came over here. It was right down the road. My dad, who lives right up the road, was nice enough to come down and get the footer poured. Now it is a little bit rough, and that's on me. I forgot to leave him a rake and or a float, and I also forgot to tell him that I forgot to leave him a rake and or a float. Now the night before we got this poured, we got hit with a bunch of rain, so this ditch was filled with water. I came out and used that bucket to try to bail most of the water out. I got most of it, but unfortunately I do live on a hill, so just over the course of the night, some more water got in there. My dad tried to dig a little relief ditch for it and ended up just filling that up with concrete as well. So whenever I go to grade this, I'm gonna go ahead and just dig all that up anyways. But before I get the driveway poured, I need to extend this wall. Now this is gonna get a little bit tricky because, let me take a stroll back here. When I did my steps, probably 4, 5, 6 years ago, I don't even remember, I went with the existing driveway. Now you can see looking down my house that this driveway was not square with my house. It was favoring more the road. So the new driveway, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to hit these points so that my steps line up. And yeah, I'm not ripping my steps out to redo them just for the driveway. I do, however, want to try to stay close to 12 foot wide. So I'm gonna pull 12 foot off my point here at this step, make sure we're hitting that. And then I believe walking back here, we might get a little bit skinnier back here, because I believe this point is in a little bit closer than this, but I'm all right with that because I don't want to get too far into this hillside. There is a water line that runs through this hillside, so realistically I think the wall is going to come back to maybe here-ish. I'm not going to run it the whole way to the road, because by the time we get to the road, I need to cut my grass and weed whack. By the time we get to the road, there's probably about 4 feet of space. So I want to make sure I stay clear of the water line. That's the only utility running in this hill. So again, that wall's going to stop back here. We should be able to keep pretty close to 11, maybe a little bit bigger. That'll be pretty close to 11 foot. But up here, I would like to keep this as wide as I can going off these steps. So we'll pull a string, get a 12 foot mark over here. Same process as last time, form up the outside wall, drill holes, get our rebar grid going, tie it into our wall there, and then build the outside and have it ready to go for concrete. That's the plan. Let's get to it on this nice gloomy Friday afternoon. I got a couple meetings tonight, so I need to make this quick. started forming up the wall. I forgot I needed to trench behind here. That way I have room for my French drain pipe, which is sticking up here, to flop down into here. Then I can backfill this all with stone. And then I tried pretty hard to not go crazy with my over digging, but I feel like I left enough room where I won't have to do that again to get my French drain pipe in. I'll have to get more of it connected to that one. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. And then backfill here with stone. That way that's going to catch all of this water coming down this hill. The battery on this camera is almost dead. I wanted to give you a close-up look at what I'm doing. I'm running a top kicker. I'm putting these upright boards so that all of my boards for my wall, I can butt them up tight to each other, screw them in from the back side, and then when it comes time to stripping them, just pull the screws out from the back, everything comes loose. Off of these uprights, to make sure I'm getting consistent support down the entire wall, I'm running a top kicker here that is held back with a pin here for back pressure, and then since this board wants to lean in, I'm running pins on the sides and screwing them into the kicker. That way it holds the kicker nice and tight. You can see I'm putting all of my body weight on that and it is not budging. Then down below here, some of them are getting one, some of them are getting two of these little return boards, basically same thing, kickers. This is really hard clay. That, like, this whole hillside is just super sticky hard clay. So I'm running these boards just straight into the dirt, packing them in with the hammer, getting everything nice and tight, and then screwing the bottom in. That way, again, that's not pushing at all, and I'm really pushing on that with my foot. So that's what I'm doing. If the battery dies over the next couple minutes because it's on 10%, that's how I'm finishing this out. I got the rest of the wall formed up. I know I have a little gap right at the bottom. I'm not overly concerned about that. A little bit of oozage out of the bottom is fine. It's on the back side, and even if it is going to be on the front side as well, remember we have a driveway coming down, so all of it's going to be covered with the exception of the top foot or two. As we taper down, it'll grow, but still not overly worried about it. Getting ahead of myself. Got the rebar grid put in. All of my metal vertical rebar are drilled into the footer. I have 3 going into the wall that we poured previously. Ran 3 rows of 1/2-inch fiberglass rebar, and then I had some stubbies left over from the cutoffs, So I ran those vertical, and I thought, well, I'm towards the end, I have some shorter pieces, so just finish those off to make a really nice rebar grid. To the next homeowner that buys this house, don't call me to rip out this concrete. Okay, so there it was in all time lapse. I'm going to take you through exactly what I did here. Once I got the bottom finished and the rebar grid done and in, like I showed you guys before, I went ahead and pieced together the front. Now, because I didn't really shoot any heights or anything with this footer, I started at the top again and worked my way down. Ended up back here. It was almost perfect with a 2x8 and then two 2x10s. About a third of the way up, we had to switch our bottom board to a 2x8, and then the last 2 feet got a 2x6, made for really nice filler. Now, what I did to get some added support at the bottom to make sure that bottom doesn't push out, I went and just took 2x4 blocks and I Tapcon them straight to the footer. That way those are in solid. I know these aren't pushing, so that bottom isn't going anywhere. I did that the whole way down. After that, I ran some vertical 2x4s, and then off of that, once I had all those screwed on to all 3 rows, I ran a bottom kicker as well as a top kicker. That way that middle board and the top board aren't pushing in and, or I'm sorry, they're not pushing out. Then I had cleats. Well, first I set these 3 cleats up top so that I knew my width was going to be exactly the same the whole way down. These will also help keep these top boards from pushing one way or the other. So, I mean, this thing is solid. You could probably hit these forms with a car and they're not going to go anywhere. Actually, this slurry from the footer, a couple places right here and right here, I drove a pin through the concrete. That's where the slurry ended. So those are going to hold really good. This one got a Tapcon because that was solid concrete right there. So that's going to be really fun to dig up. For the most part, everything's done here. I have a barrel, a float, an edger, and a sponge so that I can pour this tomorrow morning. Matt needs my work truck, so I wanted to make sure that he was going to have everything he would need, as well as I was going to have everything I need. So, I'm hot, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, and I'm filthy dirty. I would like to go sit in the air conditioner that has been just absolutely torture, listening to this thing run, not just thinking about all the money that's costing me, but just knowing that my house is nice and cold inside. Oh, that's torture. All right, I'm going inside. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning to pour this.